The rain-slicked streets of Seattle gleamed like shattered glass under the sodium lamps, and I slammed on the brakes just in time to avoid plowing into the woman staggering across the crosswalk, her mascara running in black rivers down her porcelain cheeks. She didn't even flinch, didn't look up, just clutched her engagement ring like a talisman against the storm, the diamond catching the light like a cruel accusation. In that split second, as thunder cracked overhead, I knew her story before she uttered a word. The kind of heartbreak that doesn't just break you, it rewires your soul, and mine recognized it instantly because I'd been shattered the same way once. I rolled down the window, my heart pounding harder than the downpour. "Hey, you okay?" She paused, swaying slightly, her emerald eyes locking onto mine with a desperation that hit me like a gut punch. Lost, furious, utterly alive in her ruin. That's how I met Harper. Not with polite hellos or coffee shop small talk, but with the raw chaos of a life unraveling, and in that moment, something in me cracked open too, whispering that maybe, just maybe, I was done running from my own ghosts. We ended up in my beat-up Subaru, the heater blasting futilely against the chill seeping through the cracks, her soaked coat dripping onto the floor mats as she finally let the sobs come, deep, guttural ones that shook her whole frame. He called it off. She gasped between breaths, twisting that ring off her finger and hurling it into the glove compartment like it was poison. "After 3 years," said I was confused. "But I'm not. God, Lennon, I'm not confused anymore." Her voice broke on my name, which I'd mumbled in introduction, and just like that, she poured it all out. The fiancé who'd proposed on a yacht in Puget Sound, the family expectations weighing her down like anchors, the late-night realizations that his touch felt wrong, like borrowing someone else's skin. She was 28, a graphic designer with a laugh that could light up gray skies, and she'd spent her life performing heterosexuality for everyone but herself. Until now. I drove us to my apartment in Capitol Hill, the kind of place with creaky floors and windows that fogged up from the constant drizzle outside. It wasn't much, a one-bedroom crammed with thrift store bookshelves and half-dead ferns, but it was mine, a sanctuary I'd built after my own world imploded 2 years back. My ex, Riley, had left me for a straight-laced accountant, claiming our love was too intense, too queer for her suddenly vanilla dreams. I'd spent months numb, wandering Seattle's foggy trails, convincing myself I'd never let anyone close again. But Harper? She crashed into that fortress like a wave against a dam, and as I handed her a towel and a mug of chamomile tea, I felt the first flicker of something dangerous, the urge to fix her, because if I could mend her, maybe I'd mend too. That first night, we talked until the city lights blurred into dawn. She curled up on my couch, wrapped in one of my oversized hoodies that smelled like lavender and regret, and confessed how she'd always known, deep down, the crushes on high school best friends, the way women's bodies in magazines made her pulse race, while men's left her cold. "I thought marrying Alex would make it go away," she whispered, staring at the rain-streaked window. "Like, if I just committed hard enough, I'd be normal." Normal. The word hung between us like smoke, and I reached out, my fingers brushing hers, feeling the electric jolt of shared secrets. "Normal's a lie we tell ourselves to stay small," I said softly, my voice steady even as my chest tightened. "You're free now, Harper. That's the real start." By morning, the storm had passed, leaving that crisp Pacific Northwest clarity where everything feels possible, fragile. I made us pancakes, burnt on one side, because I'm no chef, and we ate cross-legged on the floor, her laughter bubbling up for the first time, tentative but real. It was the start of it all, me, Lennon Harper. No, wait, just Lennon, 26 and still piecing together my freelance writing gigs with therapy sessions that cost more than rent, becoming her unofficial life coach, her midnight confessor, her accidental savior. Little did I know, she'd become mine. Over the next week, Harper crashed at my place, her sublet in Ballard too haunted by memories of Alex's cologne on the pillows. We fell into a rhythm. Mornings with strong black coffee on the balcony, overlooking the ferries cutting through Elliott Bay, afternoons wandering Pike Place Market, where she'd point out the vibrant stalls of flowers and I'd tease her about her post-breakup glow that had nothing to do with the salmon-throwing fishmongers. Evenings were for unspoiling her pain, long walks along the waterfront, where the salt air whipped her hair and she'd vent about the wedding invites she'd shredded in a fit of rage, or the voicemail from her mother pleading, "Honey, men don't just walk away. You must have pushed him." I'd listen, nodding, my own stories slipping out in fragments. How Riley and I met at a queer poetry slam in the U District, our love a wildfire that burned too hot, too fast. How she'd gaslight me into believing I was the dramatic one, the one who expected too much from a world that already asked lesbians to whisper their truths. It's like we're always apologizing for existing, I told Harper one night, as we shared a bottle of Pinot Noir on the fire escape, the city humming below us. She leaned her head on my shoulder, her breath warm against my neck, and murmured, "Not anymore. Not with you." That closeness grew like ivy on brick, subtle at first, then impossible to ignore. A brush of hands while passing the remote during binge watches of old rom-coms we'd mock for their straight girl fantasies, her fingers lingering on my arm as she thanked me for the third night in a row of takeout Thai and zero judgment. I told myself it was platonic, that I was just being the good friend, the one who'd clawed her way out of depression and now had wisdom to spare. But late at night, when she'd pad into my room in her borrowed tank top, whispering about nightmares of Alex's face morphing into accusation, I'd pull her close, our bodies fitting like puzzle pieces I'd forgotten I had. One evening, after a particularly brutal therapy session for her, where she'd finally admitted aloud, "I'm gay, and it terrifies me," we ended up at a dive bar in Fremont, the kind with fairy lights strung over scarred wooden tables and a jukebox crooning Elliott Smith. The air was thick with craft beer and quiet conversations, and Harper, emboldened by her second IPA, grabbed my hand across the table. "Dance with me, Lennon. Right here." The song shifted to something slower, a haunting cover of Wicked Game, and before I could protest, she was pulling me to the makeshift floor, her hips swaying against mine in a rhythm that felt like confession. Our bodies moved together, tentative at first, her hands on my waist, mine tracing the curve of her back, and the world narrowed to the heat between us, the way her eyes searched mine for permission, for promise. "I've never felt this," she breathed, her lips inches from my ear. "Not with anyone." My heart thundered, a mix of fear and fire, because I wanted to kiss her right there, to claim the spark that had been building since that rainy night. But I pulled back just enough, whispering, "You don't have to rush. Healing isn't a sprint." It was the right thing to say, the safe thing, but as we stumbled home arm in arm, giggling under streetlights, I wondered if I was protecting her, or myself, from the storm we both craved. Weeks blurred into a fragile routine, laced with the kind of intimacy that sneaks up on you. Harper started sketching again, her tablet filling with ethereal portraits of women, strong-jawed, soft-eyed, unapologetic, and I'd catch her watching me when she thought I wasn't looking, her gaze lingering on the freckles across my collarbone or the way my laugh lines crinkled. I threw myself into supporting her, dragging her to a LGBTQ+ support group in the Central District, where stories of coming out late echoed like anthems, introducing her to my ragtag circle of friends at a potluck in a Queen and Brownstone, where the air smelled of vegan lasagna and possibility. But beneath the mending, cracks showed. Harper's phone would buzz with texts from Alex. "We can still be friends. H. You need time." And she'd delete them with trembling fingers, but the doubt lingered like fog. "What if he's right? What if this is just rebound?" she'd ask, curled against me on the couch. I'd hold her tighter, murmuring affirmations drawn from my own scars. "Rebound means you're bouncing back stronger. This is you, Harper. The real you." Yet in quiet moments, my own wounds throbbed, Riley's ghost in every mirror, reminding me that love had a way of turning to ash. The turning point came on a crisp October Saturday when we hiked Discovery Park, the trails winding through ancient cedars that whispered secrets to the wind off the sound. Leaves crunched under our boots, gold and crimson carpeting the path, and Harper stopped abruptly at an overlook, the Olympics rising hazy in the distance. "Lennon," she said, turning to me with eyes like storm-tossed seas, "I think I'm falling for you." The words hung there, vulnerable and vast, and before I could armor up with caution, she kissed me, soft at first, then fierce, her hands framing my face as if I were the map to her new world. It was electric, that kiss, tasting of salt and pine, her lips parting under mine with a sigh that undid me. We sank to the mossy ground, the earth cool beneath us, and for the first time in years, I let myself feel, really feel, the rush of desire, the terror of trust. "I want this," I whispered against her neck, my voice raw. "But I'm scared too." She pulled back, searching my face, and that's when I spilled it all. The betrayal with Riley, the nights I'd cried myself empty, the fear that I'd always be the one who loved too hard, too soon. Tears welled in her eyes, not from her pain, but mine. "Then we'll be scared together," she vowed, and in that promise, the healing deepened, not just her mending from a life unlived, but mine, cracking open to let light in. As autumn deepened, our love unfolded like the city itself, layered, resilient, shot through with rain and revelation. We navigated the messiness, Harper's first awkward call to her parents, where "I love a woman" met stunned silence before tentative grace, my panic attacks when old insecurities clawed back, her steady hand anchoring me through the storm. We made a home in the small things, lazy Sundays baking scones in my tiny kitchen, her head in my lap as I read aloud from Audre Lorde, the words weaving us tighter. But love, especially the queer kind born from ashes, doesn't bloom without thorns. Alex resurfaced, not with malice, but with a misguided plea for closure over coffee in Belltown. "I miss you, Harper. We were good together." She went alone, at my urging, trust as the ultimate act of faith, and came back shaken, his words a echo of the cage she'd escaped. "He doesn't get it," she cried into my shoulder that night. "He thinks he can fix me." I held her as fury boiled in my veins, not at him, but at a world that made us explain our joy. "You're not broken," I said fiercely. "And neither am I, not anymore." That confrontation lit a fire in us both. Harper dove into her art, creating a series of pieces titled Unveiled, canvases of women emerging from shadows, bold lines and vibrant hues that captured the ache and ecstasy of self-discovery. I wrote too, my laptop screen filling with essays on queer resilience, submitted to local zines that paid in exposure and quiet pride. We attended our first Pride after-party in the Capitol Hill blocks, rainbow flags snapping in the breeze, bodies moving to bass-heavy beats under strings of lights. There, hand in hand, we danced without fear, her laughter mingling with mine, a symphony of survival. Yet the kinks persisted, subtle sabotage from within. My freelance drought hit hard one December Eve, bills stacking like accusations, and I snapped at Harper over something trivial, a forgotten grocery run, my words sharp as winter wind. "I can't keep being your rock if I'm crumbling." She recoiled, eyes flashing hurt, and stormed out into the sleet, leaving me with the echo of my cruelty. Hours later, she returned, soaked and shivering, not with anger, but understanding. "We're both still healing, Lennon. That means messy too." We made love that night for the first time fully, deliberately, slow explorations in the glow of fairy lights, her body arching under mine like a wave cresting, our breaths sinking in a rhythm older than words. It was sacred, that union, not just passion, but permission to be flawed, to falter, to rise entwined. Spring arrived with cherry blossoms dusting the streets like confetti, and with it, a crossroads. Harper's big break came, a gallery show in Soto for her Unveiled series, invites pouring in from collectors who saw the truth in her strokes. But success stirred old fears. What if they see me, the lesbian who left a man, and judge? I cupped her face, echoing her own words back. "Let them. Your story's the power. Opening night was magic. The warehouse space alive with murmurs and clinking glasses, her pieces hanging like beacons. As she spoke to the crowd, voice steady, eyes finding mine across the room, I felt it, the full circle of healing, her light illuminating my shadows. But fate, that capricious muse, tested us one last time. Riley emailed out of the blue. In town. Coffee? For old times. The message hit like a sucker punch, dredging up the abandonment I'd buried. I confessed to Harper over dawn patrol at Golden Gardens, the sound lapping at our feet. I need to see her. To close the door. Her face paled, but she nodded, fierce love in her grip.
Go.
But come back to me. The meetup at a Queen and Cafe was anticlimactic. Riley, polished and distant, spinning tales of her stable life, as if mine were the chaos. You were always so intense, Lennon. I couldn't breathe. I walked out midway, heart pounding, realizing her words were chains I'd long outgrown. Bursting into our apartment, I found Harper waiting, canvas in lap, sketching our future. I'm home, I said, and we collapsed into each other, the past dissolving in the heat of now. Summer solstice brought clarity. A road trip down the Oregon coast, windows down, indie folk on the stereo, stopping at hidden coves where seals barked and waves crashed like applause. There, on a blanket under stars thick as promises, Harper knelt with a ring, not diamond, but a simple silver band etched with intertwined vines. I don't need a wedding, Lennon. Just this, you, forever. Tears blurred my yes, and as we slipped it on, the ocean roared approval. We returned to Seattle changed, our love a quiet revolution. Harper's show sold out, funding a shared studio space. My essays landed a book deal, words pouring from the well we'd dug together. Family mended slowly, her parents visiting for brunch, awkward but earnest. Mine, long estranged, sending a card that read, "Proud of your brave heart." In the end, healing wasn't linear, but shared, like breaths in sync, scars tracing maps of where we'd been. Harper didn't just mend from her breakup. She rebuilt me, brick by tender brick, teaching that love isn't a cure, but a companion through the ache. And as we stood on our balcony one golden dusk, fingers laced, city sprawling below, I knew we'd healed each other into something unbreakable, a testament to the wild, wondrous power of two women choosing each other against all the noise. The autumn leaves had turned to mulch underfoot by the time Harper's gallery buzz faded into everyday rhythm, but our stolen moments kept the spark alive, like the way she'd surprise me with wildflower bouquets from the University District Farmers Market, petals pressed between the pages of my journals. We'd cook dinner together in that cramped kitchen, her chopping onions while I stirred risotto, our hips bumping in playful choreography that always dissolved into kisses against the counter, flour-dusted and fervent. "You're my favorite distraction," she'd tease, nipping at my earlobe, and I'd laugh, pulling her closer, because distraction was the antidote to the world's relentless grind. Yet beneath the bliss, shadows lingered. Harper's ex had a habit of orbiting, subtle at first, a like on her Instagram story, then a congratulations DM that lingered too long. "It's nothing," she'd insist, deleting it with a swipe, but I saw the flicker in her eyes, the old guilt worming back. One night, after a tense voicemail from him, "Harper, we need to talk about the lease. This isn't over." She shattered a wine glass against the sink, shards glittering like her fury. He acts like I owe him closure, like my coming out was a personal attack. I swept up the pieces, careful not to cut myself, and drew her into the living room, where we sat on the rug amid scattered sketch pads. "Closure's for him, not you," I said, tracing the veins in her hand like rivers on a map. "You've given enough." She leaned into me, her head on my chest, and we stayed like that until the anger ebbed into exhaustion. But it stirred something in me too, a protective fierceness I'd forgotten, the kind that Riley had beaten out with her indifference. For the first time, I voiced it. "I won't let him hurt you again. Not while I'm here." Her smile, soft and sure, sealed the vow, and we made slow love on the couch, rediscovering each other in the quiet hours, her whispers of, "I choose you," echoing like a mantra. Winter crept in with its gray veil, holidays looming like uninvited guests. Harper's family was throwing a neutral Thanksgiving in their Bellevue suburb, turkey and trimmings, no mention of rings or revelations. "Come with me?" she asked, vulnerability cracking her voice. I hesitated. My own holidays were solitary affairs, takeout and Netflix, a shield against the estrangement from my conservative folks back in Spokane. But for her, I'd brave the awkward stares. We arrived to her mother's hug, stiff but genuine, and her father's nod, eyes appraising my flannel and boots. Dinner was a minefield, small talk about work, weather, anything but us. Then her sister, tipsy on Merlot, blurted, "So, Harper is Lennon. Like, your girlfriend now." The table froze, forks hovering. Harper's hand found mine under the tablecloth, squeezing. "Yes," she said, voice steady as steel.
"She is.
And I love her." The silence stretched, then her mother cleared her throat. "Well, pass the cranberry sauce." It wasn't fireworks, but it was progress. A crack in the facade, light seeping through. On the drive home, snow flurrying the windshield, Harper wept with relief. "That was for me, Lennon. For us." I kissed her knuckles, tasting salt and victory. My turn came at Christmas, a low-key gathering with my queer found family in a Fremont loft, string lights, spiked eggnog, and a white elephant gift exchange that devolved into laughter. Harper fit seamlessly, charming my best friend Jax with her dry wit and sketching caricatures on napkins. But midway through, my phone buzzed. A text from Mom. "Miss you this year. Dad's asking about that promotion you mentioned." No mention of the daughter they'd disowned after my coming out at 22, the one who'd chosen pride over pretense. Harper noticed my stiffening, pulled me aside. "Call her. Say what needs saying." I did, from the loft's balcony, city lights twinkling below. "Mom, I love you. But I love Lennon too. And that's not changing." Her pause was heavy then. "I know, honey. We're trying." It wasn't absolution, but it was a bridge, rickety and real. Harper wrapped around me from behind, chin on my shoulder. "Proud of you," she murmured, and in that embrace, the holiday ache softened. New Year's Eve found us at a queer dance party in the Baltic Room, bass thumping through our bones as confetti rained down at midnight. We kissed amid the crush, her hands in my hair, the world a blur of color and cheers. "To us," she toasted later, with champagne in plastic flutes on the drive home. "To healing what we didn't know was broken." But January brought the blizzard, the big one that shut Seattle down, power flickering out for days. Trapped in the apartment, candles guttering on every surface, we played board games by flashlight, told ghost stories from our pasts. Harper confessed a buried memory. Her first kiss, stolen with a college roommate in a dorm laundry room, steam from dryers masking their gasps. "I ran from it," she admitted, scared of what it meant. I shared mine. A fumbling makeout at 15 with my theater crush, cut short by a slammed door and parental wrath. It made me hide for years. Vulnerability bound us tighter, and in the storm's hush, we explored further, her fingers mapping my skin like new territory, my lips tracing the freckles on her thighs, gasps mingling with the wind's howl outside. February thawed us out, but not without tests. Harper's lease ended, and the question hung. "Move in?" "It's fast," she fretted over brunch at Le Panier, croissants flaking onto our plates. "What if we rush and ruin it?" I set down my coffee, heart in my throat. Love isn't about perfect timing, it's about choosing the mess. She grinned, that lopsided smile that undid me, and by March, boxes lined the hallway, her art supplies mingling with my books, our lives interleaving like threads in a tapestry. Spring's renewal mirrored ours. Tulip festivals in the Arboretum, where we'd picnic on checkered blankets, feeding each other strawberries. juice staining our lips red as desire. But success amplified scrutiny. Harper's series caught a national mag's eye, an interview that probed her journey from straight to gay. The article dropped like a bomb. From Fiancée to freedom, Harper's queer awakening. Comments flooded, supportive cheers, but also vitriol. Attention seeker, broke a good man's heart. She spiraled, doubting her truth, and one night, after a trollish email from an old friend, she lashed out. Maybe they're right. Maybe I am confused. I found her in the studio, surrounded by half-finished canvases, tears carving paths through paint smudges on her cheeks. No, I said, kneeling before her, hands on her knees. Confusion was the lie you lived before. This you, us, is clarity. I pulled her into my lap, rocking her like a child, and as sobs subsided, I shared my own brush with doubt. The therapy breakthrough where I'd screamed, "I'm enough," shattering the silence. We're both works in progress, Harper. But together, we're masterpiece. That raw honesty sparked a ritual. Weekly truth circles, sitting cross-legged on the bed, no judgments, just unfiltered hearts. She admitted fears of losing her edge. I confessed envy of her bold reinvention. Each circle stripped us bare, rebuilding stronger. Summer swelled with heat waves unusual for Seattle, drawing us to Alki Beach, where we'd rent kayaks and paddle into the sunset, her laughter echoing over the water. One evening, as dusk painted the sky in pinks and purples, she proposed a tattoo, matching vines curling around our wrists, symbols of growth entwined. The artist in Pioneer Square inked them with steady hands, the buzz a hymn to permanence. Bound but free, Harper said, admiring the fresh lines, and I kissed the sting away, our blood mingling in ink and intent. Yet the season's peak brought Alex's final gambit, a letter, hand-delivered, pleading for one last meeting. For closure, it read. Harper showed it to me, trembling. I have to end it properly. For me. I drove her to the cafe, waiting in the car, nails digging crescents into palms. She emerged an hour later, face flushed but resolute. I told him I'm happy. Truly for the first time. We drove to Gasworks Park, climbing the hill to watch fireworks burst over the lake. Independence in explosions of light. Fall circled back, leaves turning once more, and with it, our first anniversary since that rainy rescue. I planned a surprise. A cabin in the Cascades, rented with my book advance, stocked with her favorite teas and a stack of Queerlit. The drive wound through evergreens, her hand in mine, radio humming Tracy Chapman. At the cabin, fire crackling in the stone hearth, I read her a letter. Words I'd poured out about the woman who'd mended my fractures, who'd taught me love's quiet ferocity. Tears gleamed in her eyes as she reciprocated, her vows whispered like poetry. You didn't just help me heal, you showed me wholeness. We made love by firelight, bodies familiar yet ever new, her curves fitting my angles like keys to locks long rusted. Afterward, tangled in sheets scented with pine, she traced my tattoo. I never thought, she began, echoing the title of our story. I finished it. I'd heal you too. And in that symmetry, the circle closed, not an end, but an eternal beginning. The rhythm of our shared life deepened that second autumn, like roots burrowing into Seattle's volcanic soil, unseen but unyielding. Harper's career ascended. A solo exhibit in Portland led to commissions from queer nonprofits, her art adorning murals in the Central District that depicted women of color locked in tender embraces, defying erasure. I'd tag along to installs, hauling ladders and paint cans, our banter light amid the chaos. If this drips on me, you're sleeping on the couch. She'd flick a brush at me, blue streaks on my cheek, and we'd dissolve into laughter, the kind that erases exhaustion. My writing flourished too, a column in a local queer mag, Letters from the Edge, where I'd pen missives on resilience, drawing from our nights of whispered confessions. Readers wrote back, "Your words saved me from the closet's chokehold." It felt like paying forward the grace Harper had gifted me, but success bred its own beasts. Jealousy flickered, unbidden. Her late nights at openings, charming patrons in that emerald dress that hugged her like a second skin, while I pecked at my keyboard alone. "Am I holding you back?" I asked one night, voice small over reheated leftovers. She set down her fork, eyes narrowing with that fierce clarity. "Holding me? Lennon, you're the gravity keeping me grounded." She crossed the table, pulling me up, her kiss a reminder. Passion wasn't possession. We danced in the kitchen to Nina Simone, slow and swaying, her hands splayed across my back, and doubt melted like wax. Winter's grip tightened with a ferocity that mirrored my inner tempests. A book tour for my collection loomed, East Coast cities, weeks apart, and the prospect clawed at me. What if distance dulls us? I confessed during a hike in Green Lake, ducks quacking mockery at my fears. Harper stopped, breath fogging the air, and cupped my face. "Distance tests, but it doesn't break. We'll video every night, send filthy postcards." Her wink eased the knot, but as departure neared, anxiety gnawed. Memories of Riley's silences during her work trips, how "I miss you" became "I miss this." The airport goodbye was a gut-wrench, her arms around me, vanilla scent clinging. "Come back to me whole." New York buzzed with anonymity, readings in cozy Brooklyn bookstores, panels on queer lit in Manhattan lofts, but loneliness ambushed in hotel rooms, the hum of the city a poor substitute for her voice. We'd FaceTime at dawn, her time, her bedhead tousled, sharing dreams. "I sketched you last night," mid-laugh. Postcards arrived, tucked in my suitcase, saucy doodles of us tangled, captions like "Hurry home. This bed's too big." Mid-tour, crisis struck, a call from Jax. Harper's mom had a stroke. Bad. Heart and throat, I rerouted flights, landing in Seattle-Tacoma as snow blanketed the tarmac. Harper met me at baggage claim, hollow-eyed but holding. "She's stable, but it's shifted everything." We drove straight to the hospital in Bellevue, sterile halls echoing our footsteps. Her mother lay pale, tubes snaking, but her eyes lit on us. "Girls," she rasped, voice weak but warm. Harper gripped my hand, introducing me properly. "This is Lennon, Mom. My partner." A nod, faint but affirming. "Take care of her," she whispered to me, and I vowed silently, tears pricking. The vigil blurred, coffee runs, Harper sketching at bedside to distract, me fielding calls from her scattered siblings. In quiet moments, we'd steal to the chapel. Empty pews our confessional. "I can't lose her," Harper sobbed once, head in my lap. "Not now." I stroked her hair, murmuring, "You won't. And if you do, I'm here, through the dark." It echoed my own losses, the aunt who died young, unspoken queer kin, but together we fortified. Her mom rallied, slow but steady, discharged to rehab with a gruff, "Bring Lennon next time." Relief washed us in waves. We celebrated with dim sum in the ID, steam rising like prayers answered. But the scare unearthed Harper's mortality fears. What if we're not ready for forever? Kids' legacy. Over sake that night, I admitted my own, child-free by choice, scarred by a youth of fix-your-family sermons. "Forever doesn't need blueprints," I said. "Just us, building as we go." Spring bloomed tentative, cherry trees of pink haze over the U District where we volunteered at a youth center, mentoring queer teens scribbling zines, their stories raw mirrors of ours. One girl, 16 and freshly out, cornered Harper. "How do you know it was real?" She glanced at me, smiling soft. "When she makes the broken parts feel beautiful." The words lingered, a talisman against doubt. My tour wrapped with a homecoming reading at Elliott Bay Books, crowds spilling into the cafe. Harper sat front row, eyes shining as I dedicated the night to "The woman who rewrote my ending." Applause thundered, but her post-reading kiss, backstage amid stacks, was the real ovation. Deep, devouring, hands roaming under shirts. Summer's heatwave returned, luring us to Orcas Island for a weekend escape, ferries slicing the Salish Sea, bikes rented for coastal paths. We picnicked on bluffs, her head on my thigh as gulls wheeled overhead. "Marry me?" she asked suddenly, casual as sea air. I sat up, pulse racing. "Thought we did that last year." She laughed, producing a velvet box, gold bands, vines etched deeper. "Legally this time. For the world to know." Tears blurred the view. My yes was a whisper, sealed with salt-kissed lips. Fall's equinox brought planning, a courthouse ceremony, intimate, with Jax officiating in drag fabulousness. But bureaucracy bit, forms requiring spouse proofs, judgmental clerks. It's 2025, and this is still a hurdle? Harper fumed post-denial. We pivoted to a backyard vow renewal, friends in lawn chairs, potluck spread. Under string lights, we exchanged rings anew, her voice breaking. "You healed my heart. Now it's yours to keep." "Mine. Together, we're unbreakable." Winter solstice gifted snow, rare, magical, blanketing the city in hush. We hosted a Yule log ritual, flames leaping as loved ones shared toasts. Her mom, cane in hand, raised a glass. "To my daughters." The word landed like grace, mending fractures. As the year turned, our love stood sentinel, naughty, nurtured, a queer beacon in the Pacific mist. Healing, we'd learned, was recursive, her mending my wanderlust, me steadying her whirlwinds. In every glance, touch, trial, we affirmed, not just survivors, but thrivers, two women whose union defied the scripts, scripting joy instead. By the third autumn, our entwined lives had woven a safety net sturdy enough for dreams deferred no longer. Harper's murals multiplied, one sprawling across a Capitol Hill co-op, women of all hues linking arms against a stormy skyline, symbolizing solidarity she'd once only sketched in secret. Critics called it a queer Pacific Odyssey, but to me, it was her soul splashed bold, and I'd linger at unveilings, heart swelling as strangers nodded recognition. "That's my girl," I'd whisper, slipping my arm around her waist, her flush matching the sunset. My book hit shelves nationwide, signings from San Francisco to Chicago, but I negotiated shorter jaunts, craving home's harbor. Still, the road whispered temptations, flirty fans sliding numbers, the thrill of spotlights, but Harper's texts grounded me. "Miss your chaos. Bed's lonesome." Fidelity felt easy, profound, a choice renewed daily. Winter whispered warnings, though. Holiday lights twinkled prematurely, but tension brewed with Harper's family, her dad's retirement party, a black tie affair in Bellevue's country club, rife with old money whispers. "Bring Lennon, but tone it down," her mom suggested delicately. Harper bristled over phone. "Tone what?" "Our love." I intervened, calm. "We'll go as us. No apologies." The night unfolded stiffly, suits and small talk, her dad's golf buddies eyeing my buzz cut and tattoos. Then a waltz started, and Harper pulled me to the floor, our steps sinking amid stares. "Let them gawk," she murmured. "Spin us into privacy." Her dad's toast later included, and her partner, a concession hard one, met with our linked hands under the table. New Year dawned with resolve. Therapy as a couple, unpacking the micro-traumas, my abandonment echoes, her internalized biphobia from college flings dismissed as phases. Sessions in a cozy Belltown office unearthed gold. "Vulnerability is our superpower," our counselor affirmed. We emerged tighter, armed with tools, breathing exercises during arguments, pause and praise rituals post-fight. Spring's thaw coaxed us outward, a women's retreat in the Olympics, cabins nestled in fern-choked woods. We hiked to Solduc Falls, mist veiling our faces as we dipped in hot springs, bodies buoyant. Naked under stars that night, around a bonfire with strangers turned sisters, Harper shared our origin. She saved me from a rain-soaked breakdown. Laughter rippled, A poet recited verses on Sapphic fire. I added, and she thawed my frozen heart. Hands linked in circle, we chanted intentions, abundance, authenticity, and drove home renewed, sap sticky from trail hugs. But summer scorched truths bare. A freelance gig took me to LA for a queer film fest, panels on lesbian narratives, schmoozing producers. Harper joined midway, her presence a balm amid Hollywood's gloss. We snuck to Griffith Observatory, city sprawled below, and there, amid telescopes and time, she confessed, "Seeing you shine. It scares me. What if I dim?" I turned, framing her face. "You're the sun. I'm just orbiting." We made love in the hotel, urgent and affirming, her cries muffled in pillows as waves crashed through us. Fall's harvest brought bounty, Harper's first international commission, a Berlin gallery, walls craving her touch. "Come," she asked, eyes alight. I cleared my slate, and Europe unfolded, cobblestone walks in Kreuzberg, beer gardens buzzing with rainbow flags. But jet lag bred friction. A missed train, tempers flaring in a Parisian cafe. "You're always rushing," she snapped. I bit back, "And you're stalling on us, kids' future?" Silence stretched over croissants, then tears. In our Marais Airbnb, we unpacked, my fear of stagnation, her of selfishness. "I want a family," she admitted, "with you." The admission bridged us. Back in Seattle, we browsed adoption forums, dreams germinating. Winter's solstice circle grew, Jax's partner proposing, our circle expanding with queer joy. But loss shadowed, my grandmother's passing, the last thread to my straight-laced roots. Funeral in Spokane was a gauntlet, cousins' side eyes, aunts' condolences laced with such a shame about your lifestyle. Harper stood sentinel, hand in mine during eulogy, her presence a shield. At graveside, my mom pulled me aside. "She's good for you. We see that now." A olive branch, tentative, I took it, introducing Harper properly. "She is." Spring equinox marked 3 years since that crosswalk collision. We renewed informally at Discovery Park, same overlook, rings exchanged anew amid wildflowers. Eternal, we vowed, sealing with a kiss as eagles soared. Summer's peak tested endurance. Wildfires choked the air, evacuations looming. We packed go bags, but stayed, volunteering at shelters, handing water to displaced families, Harper sketching portraits to lift spirits. In the haze, closeness intensified, nights on the balcony, masks down, sharing oxygen and stories. "This world's on fire," she said, "but we're not burning out." I nodded, pulling her close, our love a cool oasis. Fall deepened roots. Adoption classes commenced, home visits prepping our nest, nursery sketches on walls, books on parenting queer kids stacked high. Doubts danced, "Are we ready?" But Harper's hand on my belly, imagining, silenced them. Winter closed the circle, a positive match, a toddler girl, brown curls and wary eyes, placed in our arms. First night home, as she slept between us, Harper whispered, "We healed into this." Tears wet my lashes. Yes, from breakup's rubble to family's bloom, we'd mended each other into legacy. For autumn's in, the leaves fell softer, as if the trees knew our story had settled into legend, personal, profound. Our daughter, Mia, toddled through the apartment, her chubby fists clutching Harper's paintbrushes, smearing chaos on fridge art. "Mama Len," she'd gurgle, climbing my lap for story time, her giggles a melody I'd trade empires for. Parenting was a revelation. Sleepless nights tag-teaming bottles, dawn park runs where Mia chased pigeons, Harper and I stealing kisses over sippy cups. "We're doing this," I'd marvel, watching them build block towers, Harper's patience infinite. My writing evolved, a memoir brewing, rain and redemption, chapters on our genesis. Agents buzzed, but I paced it, cherishing the now. Mia's first words, "Love you both." Harper's studio thrived, collaborations with indigenous artists yielding pieces that hung in MoMA, women warriors in watercolor, fierce and familial. Winter's chill nipped at edges. Mia's first fever spiked alarmingly. Weights blurred into worry, Harper pacing while I held our girl, humming lullabies. She's tough, like her mom's, the doc assured, but the scare lingered, amplifying our fierce guardianship. Post-crisis, we instituted gratitude journals, nightly entries of joys, Mia's dimples, each other's quirks. It anchored us amid the whirl. Spring burst with Mia's birthday, a backyard bash, balloons bobbing, jacks in clown drag leading games. As cake smeared faces, Harper pulled me aside, eyes misty. This life. You gave me this. I kissed her temple. We gave each other. But summer simmered conflicts. A custody hearing loomed, birth mom's rights surfacing, a shadow over our bond. Lawyers droned legalese. Nights dissolved into what-ifs. What if they take her? Harper wept, curled fetal. I held vigil, they won't. We're her home. Court day dawned gray. Testimonies wove our tapestry. Therapists vouching stability, friends attesting love. Judge's gavel fell favorable. Full adoption. Relief crashed like waves. We scooped Mia from daycare, spinning her in parks till dusk. Fall's equinox gifted growth. Family therapy with my parents, now retired in Spokane, Zoom calls evolving to visits. Dad's gruff, you're happy. That's what counts, cracked a shell. Mom baked Mia cookies, tentative bridges built. Harper's folks followed suit, grandma duties, spoiling with books on fierce girls. Winter solstice, for years post-storm, we hosted a full circle, extended kin around a log, toasts to trials transcended. Mia, 3 now, crowned in lights, declared, my moms are heroes. Laughter echoed. In that warmth, scars faded to stories. Spring's renewal saw Harper's sabbatical, a residency in Iceland, Aurora's calling. Join for the end, she emailed, glaciers gleaming in attachments. I did, leaving Mia with grandparents. Our reunion under northern lights a cosmic kiss, greens dancing as we danced, vows renewed in ice and fire. Summer's heat hatched plans, a cross-country road trip, family edition. Route 66 redux, but queer-coded, stops at Stonewall Remnants, Black lesbian archives in D.C. Mia absorb it all, wide-eyed. Girls love girls? Everywhere, baby. Everywhere. Fall deepened. My memoir dropped, bestseller whispers, but launches were family affairs, Mia reading to crowds from my lap. Backlash trickled, conservative reviews decrying propaganda, but supporters drowned it, letters like lifelines. Winter closed with wonder. Mia's preschool nativity, her as a shepherdess, declaring, angels are girls too. Harper and I, teary in back row, hands clasped, from healing's hush to this holy noise. 5 autumns dawned, leaves a mosaic of memory. Mia started kindergarten, backpack dwarfing her frame, Harper braiding her hair with trembling fingers. Our girls flying, I said, waving from the gate. Evenings became rituals, homework help, bath time bubbles, bedtime tales of 2 moms who found each other in rain. Harper's global profile soared, TEDx talk on queer creativity, stages from Sydney to Stockholm. I tag for keynotes, Mia in tow, turning tours into adventures. But spotlight strain showed. Harper's burnout, sketches sparse, eyes shadowed. Am I losing my muse? She'd fret. Therapy unpacked it, performance pressure eclipsing passion. We retreated to the cabin, Mia splashing creeks, us rediscovering roots. Long talks by lake, her head on my knee, my fingers in her hair. Winter's white mantle muffled milestones. Mia's first snow angel, our 10th anniversary. Courthouse vows echoed in a vow renewal at Sunset Beach. Mia ring bearer, scattering petals, friends toasting to loves that last. Harper's speech gutted me. You didn't just heal me, you hone me. Mine. Every day, I choose you anew. Spring's symphony heralded change, my parents' full embrace, a spoken visit where Dad grilled veggie burgers, Mom and Mia gardening. Family's what you make, Dad grunted, pride in his eyes. Summer scorched with serendipity, a birth mom letter, gracious, thank you for loving her. Closure sweetened our custody story, shared in Mia's adoption day picnic, cake under oaks, her laughter the sweetest song. Fall's harvest reaped reflection, Harper's retrospective at Sam, rooms of our evolution, early heartbreak abstracts to familial abstracts. Opening night, Mia in tiny gown, tugged my sleeve. Mommy's art is us. Tears, yes, every stroke. Winter wove wonder, holiday lights tour, Mia's awe at tree spectacles, our hands linked in car, Harper humming carols. From Breakup's barren to this bounty, we'd bloomed. 6 autumns painted the city in fire, but our home glowed steady, Mia's crayon drawings papering walls like affirmations. School plays cast her as tree in The Giving Tree, her branches waving with gusto. We'd cheer loudest, Harper filming for archival blackmail. Evenings stretch lazy, board games devolving to tickle fights. Mia squeals our soundtrack. Harper's legacy burgeoned, a foundation for queer artists, grants doled from our Capitol Hill co-op turned HQ. I'd consult on narratives, weaving stories into funding pitches. Your words are magic, she'd say, kissing my temple mid-meeting. But admin ground her down. Emails endless, egos bruising. I miss creating, she confessed over wine. Sabbatical struck, a month in Oaxaca, textiles calling. Mia and I followed, markets bursting color, her tiny hands weaving with artisans. Harper's joy reignited, journals filling with motifs, returned renewed, studio alive again. Winter's hush hosted heartaches. A friend's cancer diagnosis rippled our circle, vigils at her bedside, Mia drawing get well, cards with suns and smiles. Loss taught tenderness, Harper holding me through sobs. We're lucky to love hard. Holiday cards that year bore rainbows, a quiet rebellion. Spring surge saw Mia's questions bloom. Why do some kids have one mom? We'd answer honest, books like Heather has 2 mommies, props and talks. School pushback came, a teacher's traditional family, unit skipping ours. Harper advocated fierce, PDA meetings her battlefield. Victory, inclusive curriculum, our story in library shelves. Summer's solstice scorched south, road trip to Big Sur, redwoods towering like guardians. Campfires crackled tales, Mia entranced by our meet cute. Rain lady saved you? Laughter, yes, and more. Fall's frolic, harvest fest in Puyallup, Mia's pumpkin patch quest yielding lopsided gourds. My sequel memoir brewed, chapters on motherhood's alchemy. Agent raves, but I savored slow, Mia's input gold. Write about my supermoms. Winter wrapped in warmth, family's ski trip to Snoqualmie, Mia tumbling snow, Harper and I stealing cabin cuddles. From fractures to this fortress, gratitude swelled. 7 autumns gilded edges, Mia's school projects now dioramas of our family tree, branches for Harper's art, mine for words, hers for dreams. I'm the leaf, she'd declare, taping glitter. Harper's foundation expanded, scholarships to trans youth, her keynote at national conference viral. Healing isn't solitary, it's symphony. But burnout boomeranged. My deadline loomed, nights typing till eyes burned, snapping at Mia over spilled milk. Sorry, Sprout, I'd apologize, hugs mending. Harper mediated. Couples spa day, massages melting tension. Pace yourself, love. We're marathoners. Winter's gale howled grief. Harper's dad passed sudden. Heart attack mid-golf. Funeral swelled Bellevue Church. Eulogies lauding his quiet evolution. Mia placed a drawing on his casket, golfer with angel wings. Harper's vigil was stoic, cracking private. He saw us at the end. We honored him with a mural, his likeness amid diverse lovers, unveiled community-wide. Spring Solace, grief group for Mia, play therapy puppets easing her, Papa's gone? Queries. We planted a tree in his memory, cherry, blooms a yearly promise. Summer Splash, family cruise Alaska, glaciers calving as Mia marveled, ice waterfalls. Harper sketch decks, I journaled waves, our bond, ocean deep. Falls Flourish, book launch in Seattle, Mia MC, with mic too big, crowd roaring. Reviews hailed, triumph of tender truths. Winter's Vigil, Yule with extended kin, toasts to absent lights. Mia's Whisper, Grandpa's Star, pointing sky, wonder and loss. 8 Autumn's crown culmination, leaves a carpet for Mia's bike rides, training wheels off. Harper's docu-series pitched, queer healers profiled, our tale anchor. Authentic, producers gushed, filming intimate, lights on our crosswalk lore. Winter's Whisper, Mia's illness, flu morphing pneumonia, hospital haze. Harper's hand in mine, Mia's fevered grip, mom's fix it. Docs did, but scarce scarred. We vowed health check-ins, family wellness pact. Spring Song, recovery picnic, Mia chasing butterflies, our relief rainbow-hued. Summer Summit, series premiere, red carpet, Mia in tuxedo tee, stealing show. Critics cheered cinema of the soul. Fall's finale, 8th anniversary hike, Mia scouting trail, us lagging for kisses. At Overlook, she asked, how do you know forever? Harper, when she healed me whole. Me, when she saw my scars and stayed. Winter's warmth endures, hearth fires, stories spun, our love, from rain's rupture to this radiant now, eternal echo. The 8th autumn unfurled like a well-worn letter, familiar creases holding secrets we'd long transcribed into living. Mia, now 8, orchestrated leaf piles in the park, diving with shrieks that scattered squirrels, Harper capturing it all in quick sketches, charcoal smudges on her jeans, joy etched in every line. Our home had evolved too. The co-op expanded to a Fremont Craftsman, sunroom for Harper's easel, nook for my desk overlooking the canal. Mornings hummed with routine, Mia braiding Harper's hair while I brewed coffee, questions flying. Why do artists cry happy tears, Mom Len? Harper's series exploded, streaming charts, panels at Sundance where she'd grip my hand under tables whispering, this is surreal. Back home, residuals funded Mia's art classes, her watercolors budding bold. But fame's underbelly nipped. Paparazzi at school gates, headlines twisting lesbian power couple's perfect life. Harper recoiled from interviews probing post-straight glow-up, her authenticity commodified. It's not a fairy tale, she'd vent, pacing studio. I'd draw her baths, eucalyptus steaming, massaging knots from shoulders. You're more than the story they sell. You're mine. Winter solstice brought a blizzard biblical, power out for a week, candles our constellation, board games by lantern, Mia inventing shadow puppet epics of warrior moms. Snuggled under quilts, Harper murmured, this is the real magic, us unplugged. But isolation amplified old echoes. My insomnia flared, Riley's ghost in dreams, accusing, you'll ruin them too. Mornings I'd wake sweat-slick, Harper's arm anchor. Therapy unpacked it. EMDR sessions reliving abandonment, emerging lighter. You're not that girl anymore, she affirmed, our post-session walks hand in hand, breath clouds mingling. Spring's thaw tested temper. Mia's school bully, taunting fake family, her lip quivering at pickup. Harper's mama bear roar met principal. I drafted a workshop on inclusive lit. Victory. Assembly on diverse homes. Mia's class crafting family flags, hers rainbow-vined, proud hoist. Summer sojourn. Italy Nana's village. Harper's roots calling, pasta feasts under olive groves. Mia learned Italian swears, charming elders. Harper traced ancestral sketches, eyes distant. This blood. It's queer too hidden. Evenings on terraces, wine flowing, we'd dance to accordions, Mia twirling between, our laughter a bridge across oceans. Falls ferment, my memoir sequel dropped, entwined eternally, delving daughterhood's depths. Tour whirlwind, Boston beans, Austin twangs, but Mia's FaceTime's grounded. Read me the part about the rain lady. Back, book club hosted in sunroom, neighbors dissecting our healing arc, toasts to truths told. Winter's weave, holidays hybrid, Spokane to Bellevue, Mia shuttling grandma's laps. My folks gifted heirloom quilt, stitched with love winds. Harper's mom baked babka, tears and dough. Yule Eve, Mia asleep, we slow danced kitchen, her cheek on mine. 8 years. Feels like yesterday's storm. Ninth spring sprouted surprises. Harper's pregnancy wish, by a donor. IUI cycles hopeful, then heartbreak, negative stacking. Grief pooled, Harper sobs in shower, my silent vigils. Maybe adoption again? I suggested, but pause prevailed. Retreat to cabin, Mia fishing lessons, us journaling losses. Our family's enough, she decided, peace dawning. Mia's hug sealed. I got 2 moms, jackpot. Summer splash. Galapagos family trip, turtles ancient as our bond. Mia snorkeled reefs, odd. Underwater rainbows. Harper's underwater sketches, me chronicling wonder words. Falls flourish. Foundation gala. Mia MC in training. Mike quips slaying donors. My 3rd book pitched, fiction. Sapphic saga inspired us. Agent. This'll sing. Winter's vigil. Global queer crisis. Rights rolled back east. Protests pulsing. We marched DC, Mia sign love is law. Harper chanting, me writing op-eds. Home. Circles strengthened. Potlucks plotting resilience. 10th autumn. Decade marker. Crosswalk pilgrimage. Mia piecing our tale from tales told. You helped each other? Always, kiddo. Leaves swirled benediction. Through tempests and triumphs, our healing helix spiraled, not endpoint, but endless ascent. 2 women, 1 love, mending the world 1 heartbeat at a time. 10 autumns etched eternity into our veins, the city's eternal drizzle, now a lullaby rather than lament. Mia, 10 and towering, led harvest hikes in Discovery Park, her backpack stuffed with field guides, declaring herself chief botanist. Harper trailed, camera slung, snapping Mia mid-leaf press, while I'd narrate silly scientific facts, our laughter layering the forest floor. Home was haven, dinners of Mia's experimental tacos, debates over homework, her passion for marine bio mirroring Harper's eye for detail, my words fueling her essays. Harper's oeuvre orbited global, retrospective in London, whispers of knighthood jests. But she grounded in mentorship, studio open to Mia's friends, teaching, art as armor. Draw your fire, she'd say, and girls bloomed, brushes bold. My novels nested bestseller lists, Sapphic mysteries, heroines echoing us, rain-soaked rescues, redemptive romances. Tours tempered by tech, virtual signings letting Mia guest star, her quips charming chat. Winter's whiteout whispered wisdom. Mia's first crush, a classmate's shy note. Is it a girl? Harper asked gentle. Mia blushed. Yeah. Scary? We shared origins, my teen fumbles, Harper's hidden heart. Scary's the start of brave, I added. Her smile. Sun through clouds. Spring spark. Family expansion vote. Foster to adopt teen, Jordan, 16, and guarded. Home visits thawed her wariness. Mia's tour. This is Mom Harper's chaos corner. Sealed giggles. Placement day. Suitcases in hall. Hugs hesitant then fierce. Nights stretched. Jordan's nightmares are reassurances. You're safe here, Harper vowed, and slowly, trust flowered. Summer saga. Road trip southwest. Canyons carving time. Jordan opened. Tales of foster flux. Her queer quiet. Around campfires, we traded truths. Love found me in rain, Harper said. Jordan, maybe it'll find me too. Fall's fanfare, joint book art exhibit, interwoven ink, our collab, her visuals, my prose. Opening overflowed, Mia and Jordan mingling, pride palpable. Critics cooed, masterwork of mutual mending. Winter's warmth, holidays huge, Jordan's first with kin, tree trimming tiffs to traditions. My parents hosted, quilt wrapped round all, tears of thanks. 11th spring, Jordan's outpour, panic attack post-school slur. We held space, therapy toolkit deployed. Her art emerged, abstract angers cathartic. Mia's allyship shone. My sister's tough. Summer's sojourn, Greece, Isles indigo. Jordan snorkeled myths, Mia mapped stars, Harper sketched seas, me wove words, waves of wholeness. Fall's forge, Jordan's adoption finalized, courtroom cheers. Her speech, you healed a stranger into family. Our tears, rivers run deep. Winter's wonder, Yule with quintet, Jordan's carol's cracking voice. From duo's dawn to this dawn chorus. 12 autumns, Mia's bat mitzvah, adopted right. Jordan's prom, tux for her date, our cheers. Harper's honor, lifetime achievement, stage shared with us. My finale novel cap trilogy, epilogue are endless. Through decades dance, healings him hummed, from fiancé's fall to family's rise, we'd not just survived, we'd symphonized souls, a lesbian legacy luminous, loving without limit. In the quiet coda of our chronicle, as snow dusts the sound once more, I trace Harper's laugh lines, Mia and Jordan's distant chatter, and know, the greatest mending is this, hearts healed, hands held, horizons shared. We didn't just help each other heal, we became the healing, a beacon for every woman whispering her truth in the rain.